Hey guys, welcome to Tyson's Fitness Tips Podcast. If you want to lose weight, increase your energy, improve your health and fitness, and look your best, then you have come to the right place. My name is Tyson Brown. I'm a personal trainer, and my job is to help you transform your body by sharing with you the most up-to-date information on health and fitness. I'm going to distill it all down for you into bite-sized actionable steps that you can take immediately to see results quickly. Now, every Tuesday and Thursday, you can expect a brand new episode, which will be a mixture of interviews with top experts from around the world in the fitness space, and as well as solo episodes from myself, sharing with you exactly what action steps you need to take to transform your health, your body, and your life. Also, don't forget to listen all the way to the end of the show, because in the middle, I'm going to share with you a time-saving tip, and it might just be a game changer. I know you're short on time, and this one can save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. So, let's get into the show. What is going on, guys? It is Tyson Brown here, and welcome to another episode of Tyson's Fitness Tips. Now, today I have got with you an awesome guest. This guy has really helped me the way I've shaped myself, and teaching other people how to implement health and fitness. I've been following this guy for a long time now, and you need to pick up his books. You need to be following him online. This is somebody who you can learn an immense amount of knowledge from. So I'd like to welcome today Dan John to the call. And Dan, thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so people can get an idea about what you do?
About what I do? Well, I'm a strength coach. I'm a senior lecturer for St. Mary's University in Twickenham, London, and I teach the instructor of religious studies for Columbia College of Missouri online. So that's what I do for a living, and then I write books, and then I coach the track and field, the throws events, which is a great passion of mine. I started lifting weights in 1965 and started coaching in 1979. And, I keep at it still, work out every day, feel great. Life's good, and let's get started.
Awesome. Okay, and so what got you in, you've been lifting for a long time, John, then you said you transitioned into coaching. What got you into the coaching area? What encouraged you or inspired you to actually start coaching other people? I
needed the money to finish my next degree. So I got offered a job to be, that's weird, 1979, I might have been the first track and field strength coach. That was my job probably in the world. I mean, there just wasn't very many of us. And I needed the money for tuition. And that got me started. I liked it a lot. Like most young coaches, I only had one answer for everything, and that was the Olympic lifts, which is not a bad tool. But it took a while to figure out that, you can't always use the exact same thing for everybody. And, that's the truth. That's how I got started. And then I just kept at it. I mean, I would teach, I taught in lots of different settings through the years, but I always helped the kids, and I was still competing too. So, I'd get my workouts in the school weight room and coach kids who were interested. And over time, that turned out to be a pretty good idea. When you work with young kids, you get a chance to remind yourself about the process, how many years and sessions it takes to master something. You listen to people online, and you would think that, you learn how to squat in one workout. You then go on to linear periodization from there. It's like, no, that's not how it works. It takes a lot of time under the bar to learn how to squat. It takes a lot of time learning the Olympic lifts, everything of value in the weight room. Probably the easiest things to teach in the weight room are the loaded carry family. Just pick them up and go. But it's an interesting. It's been an interesting life from that perspective. I never realized that I could actually make a living being a strength coach, because most of the time, I would get. I don't know how well this will translate, but one year I got $1,200 for being the strength coach, which is just not a lot of money ever. So that would be my little journey.
So, like you said, it was, even though it wasn't a lot of money, you were still doing something that you obviously enjoyed and being able to teach and coach that. And I just picked up on one thing you said, that the easiest thing to teach is the loaded carry. So I just got to have a quick question about that. For people who don't know what loaded carries are, how can you simply explain that to them for the people who are like, oh, what's a loaded carry?
Oh, sure. Well, it's a whole family of movements where the most basic would be the farmer walk, where you pick up two weights in your hands and walk away with them. Suitcase carry would be carrying them in one hand. That would also include the prowlers, pushing cars. I include running up hills. It's when you carry a load around the front. We call those bear hug carries. If you put weight on your back, like a backpack, we include those. Sled work would be loaded carries. And then, of course, the fun part of that is when you start combining things like farmer bars plus a heavy backpack dragging a sled. I mean, that's when things kind of get exciting, I think, in what I do. We have a number of weighted vests now. There's no better or worse, but I use backpacks for a long, long time. And then now some of these weighted vests are coming out are heavy enough that man, you can do a whole workout with them on and not have to fumble getting them on and off. So that's your loaded carry. You load yourself up and you walk or go faster away, depending on what you can do.
Very cool. And like you said, that's probably the easiest thing to start off with, right? So like people who want to, obviously, having that extra weight is going to help you burn a little bit more calories. So maybe something as simple as loading up a backpack and going for a walk in the morning is a type of loaded carry. That's right.
Yeah, that would be, yeah. But loaded carries tend to build work capacity. So yeah, if they also burn fat, that's great. But when we're trying to build an athlete, we're trying to get that person's engine. I mean, so the three words I use to explain loaded carries are integrity under load. So keeping you one piece as you fight through that with that sled or push that car, or like you say, go for a walk with a backpack. You want to have a whole range of loaded carries, from fast to barely moving. You want to have a whole range from very heavy to a lot lighter, like your backpack example. So that's the nice thing about loaded carries. And by the way, if there was only one thing I'd have you do, it'd be loaded carries. I mean, I think it takes care of almost everything else. But most people don't do them. So most people are missing one of the real keys to performance by skipping the loaded carry family.
Okay, and so you think that, so you just suggested that's the one thing you would recommend people do. So an easy way for them to do that is to see if they've got a sled at the gym, or they can even pick up just some heavy dumbbells and carry them for a certain period of time or a certain length. Yeah,
time or distance, it doesn't matter. You just pick them up and go. Don't make it too. I have 15-year-old females doing 40 kilos in both hands. So don't get going would be the answer. It is that simple, but most people won't do it. But once you start doing it, like whenever I work with a team or a unit or something like that, that is the one thing that usually I get the most feedback on how well on how that changed the game so much. Yeah.
And what's your favorite type of loaded carry, John? Is it? Do you have any specific one that you enjoy the most, Dan?
Well, the bear hug carry, that'd be carrying a load in the front, or the farmer walk. I just seem to get the most out of that. But when I have the time and the interest, I like the combination carries the most. That's backpack, something else, dragging a sled. That it feels like the caber toss in Highland Games, and it just feels like it's the right thing to do. Yeah.
Very cool. I think I've actually got a photo of you on one of my books of you doing a combination walk of a whole bunch of things in the snow.
Right. That's the cover of Never Let Go.
Yeah.
Right. I'm actually training a group that day, and that's not an uncommon way for me to train. You'll notice I wish I still had those gloves, though. I don't know where I lost those gloves, but they were the best outdoor training gloves I've ever had. but which is funny. When I look at the picture, I remember my gloves. But yeah, that's a bear hug carry. Yeah, it's a bear hug carry, dragging the sled. Yeah, that's a good little workout.
For those of you guys who haven't seen the photo, I will put that up in the show notes, and it is an awesome photo. So Dan,
Yeah.
apart from people not putting carries into their workout, what are some other common mistakes you see people make when it just comes to their health and fitness in general in the weight room? Is it not learning the right exercises, or is it trying to do too many things in a session?
Hmm. Well, number two is they don't squat authentically. Um, people's squat depth and squat movement is horrific. Next would be their hinge movements. They bend their knees too much when they do kettlebell swings, or they try to do this squatty swing hinge thing. Really, I would say the biggest mistake is quality of movement. And now that's going to get me in trouble with some people, but you know, the easiest thing to do is add reps and add load. Starting off with a good, correct movement, one that like deadlifts and swings should be like standing long jumps. That's the movement you should have your hips go through. And yet you can go to gyms all over the place and they are just doing all kinds of idiotic things. They're doing squats when they're swinging, and then they're doing good mornings when they squat. I mean, it's crazy. The other thing I would say is that they pick from too many choices in exercise. You know, I think it's fine to have variation. In fact, I kind of insist on it in the weight room. But you just don't need that many tricep extension exercises. You don't need that many kinds of curl. You know, it really doesn't make a difference. But in the last, since Arnold wrote The Education of a Bodybuilder in 1975, people do this Frankenstein training where they think that, you know, it's arm day, leg day, back day, but they never truly make progress. I mean, they certainly make some because they get caught up in too many variations, and the body doesn't have a chance to master what you're asking it to do so you can add true load to it. I mean, you know, when a guy tells me that he's, you know, deadlifted 100 kilos, I'm almost embarrassed for him. Well, actually, I am embarrassed for him because, you know, you might do 50 exercises, but you're weak unless you weigh 50 kilos, and then I'm fine with that. But anyway, if you weigh over 50 kilos, don't brag about 100 kilo. You guys use kilos there, right?
Yep, exactly right.
Okay, then you can't brag about that. Most people I work with really never get themselves strong enough to allow lifting to really do that wonderful hormonal cascade that makes all the difference.
So they should focus less on the amount of exercise they're doing and focus on those fundamental things like you talked about, the deadlift, the squat, the loaded carry.
Oh, okay. Well, I make the movements into 5 movements, okay?
Okay.
5 basic movements: push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry, and then everything else is the 6th movement. That's how I organize programs. And then that would be down. So if I'm organizing a program, that's the left side of the column. The right side of the column would be isometric movements first. Can you handle this movement without any movement? Next would be what we call traditional weightlifting. And I have lifts for every single one of those columns is easy. You know, like for hinges, you do that Brett Contreras' hip thrust, for example. For squats, double kettlebell front squats, prowlers for the push, and everybody knows the pushes and the pulls. From there, the next column over I call anti-rotation, and that would be when you start to move a little bit more dynamically, but at the same time, we're also checking to make sure one side of your body isn't running ahead of the other side of the body. How do I explain that? If you bench, we have this one little test we do with our athletes. It's a one-arm bench press with the off arm free. Okay, the off arm is free. And I expect a 15, 16-year-old boy to do, 32 kilos for 5 reps, but with both hands. So if little Bobby can do 32 kilos for 5 with his right hand, but only 1 rep with his left, then you look at the way they bench maybe 90 kilos. And very often, young kids especially will have that bizarre kind of bench press where the weight kind of slides over a little bit. And the right hand is benching, I don't know, 90 kilos. The right hand is benching 60 kilos, and the left hand is benching 30 kilos, if you follow what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so, and then after those, that's when you start going dynamic. So that'd be like overhead push jerks, swings, the Olympic snatch, and Olympic clean and jerk. But so I have this little matrix of exercises, and then from there, once we pick the exercises that are appropriate that you can handle, then we move into reps and sets. If it's pure bodybuilding, if you want to do hypertrophy, then we figure exercises between 15 and 30 reps. That's what DeLorme taught us, and that's what the research holds to. That's 3 sets of 8, 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 3, 3 sets of 5. If you need pure strength, it'd be around 10 total reps, 3 sets of 3, 5 sets of 2, 2 sets of 5, whatever. If you're doing the anti-rotation work, really most of it's just, get you to work until things start to unravel. And then with the dynamic stuff, of course, you do as many reps as appropriate. After that, then we talk about load. But so I'm sorry about this. So when I'm coaching you, I'm going to first pick movements that work and appropriate for you. The next thing we're going to do is make sure we have appropriate reps and sets. And then after that, we'll worry about the load. And then over time, we might try to get, if you're a certain kind of athlete, maybe a lot more dynamic, ballistic stuff. And if you're just a regular kind of person, we might never get all the way over there. We might just spend our time double checking that you have symmetry, and then just, get you, keep lean body mass on you and keep your joints healthy, which is kind of the secret to life. And if all I could tell an older person was focus on lean body mass and mobility, that's not a bad formula, because everything else will come from that.
I really like that simplistic thing you just talked about, especially towards the end, focus on those two things. We always look for the new secret or always looking for something new, but if they focus on those fundamental and just stick to it, that's what's going to get them the best results, right? It's time for another episode of Tyson's Time-Saving Tips. Today we are on the topic of improving your mobility. Now, a really quick thing you can do to improve your mobility and your flexibility is to do it while you're watching TV. So we're always at home, usually in the afternoon, we're feeling tired, and you're sitting around watching TV. Well, instead of sitting on your bum doing nothing, you can jump into a couple of stretches that are gonna help loosen everything up, clear the cobwebs, and get you feeling a lot better. As I'm talking to you guys at the moment, I'm actually standing up walking around, which is another thing you can do. But if you just don't feel like walking around standing, what you can actually do is do some specific exercises. Some specific stretches. One of the stretches you can do is a third world squat. And a third world squat, I'm talking to you and I'm actually going into this, is when you sit in a squatting position and you hold on to something. So you can hold on to the side of the couch, you can hold on to the coffee table in front of you, and you just sit in that squat position to open up those hips. Now what this is going to do is this is going to allow you to become more flexible in your calves, in your hamstrings, in your hip flexors, everywhere that's tight, and you can just open that up. Another thing you can do is do some stretches like the pigeon stretch or a hip flexor stretch. And these are really simple to hold. They're just static stretches, and you can do this while you're watching TV. Between every break, you can get up, go for a quick walk, loosen everything up, and go back into stretching. And the best thing about this is this is the reason you'll stick to it, is because it's so passive and you can do it while you're watching TV, While you're watching somebody get annihilated on Game of Thrones, you can be stretching. And this is because there's nothing worse, even for myself, being told that you have to stretch or do some mobility work, and you actually have to take time out to do it. But when you integrate it, like I said earlier in another episode about adding in, like doing cardio and watching TV, then it becomes much, much more easier. So jump into a squat position watch some Netflix or some TV, and I tell you what, this is going to be one simple thing you can do to improve your mobility and your flexibility. That is your time-saving tip. Now let's get back into the episode. To it, that's what's going to get them the best results, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true about almost everything. The real greats are always masters of the basics. Master the fundamentals, and you usually do great. The problem is, everybody listening to this right now is going to go online and they're going to ping a little article with the 7 most important things to do and then they're going to start doing all this idiocy again. And really, you don't need all that nonsense. You really don't. You can get a phenomenal workout with just a total of 5 to 8 Olympic squat snatches and 5 clean and jerks. Well, the load has to be pretty up there, but you'll have a marvelous workout with just that little bit of volume. But that's why nobody does them, because it's really hard too. One of my knocks on our field in the last 10 years or so is now that people are racing with, like 60 kilo cleans. And how many times can you deadlift 100 kilos? It's like, that's just nonsense. Every rep you do fatigued, like that is a prescription for injury. But people never really want to go the heavy loads and the heavy lifts, or take the time to master them. But yeah, it is that simple. It is that simple. And the thing is, you got to be careful though when we talk, because the bulk of people can't understand a word I'm saying because they can't hear me. And it's a phrase I use from theology, and it's called stenosymbols. A stenosymbol is a word that has one meaning, like the word desk. If I said that girl is desk, you'd have no idea what I was talking about. If I said, hi, I'm Dan, I'm gay, even if I just told you that the word gay means happy, today the word gay is a stenosymbol, all right? So when most people hear something like exercise, what they hear is, I'm going to be sweaty and vomit in a bucket. When I say nutrition or diet, they think rabbit food and starvation. So when I say something as simple as, if you focus on lean body mass and mobility, most people can't hear what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about, doing the 5 fundamental, movements, in every workout, and, making sure all my joints move freely. That's not vomiting, and that's not sweaty. You certainly could get sweaty, but it's about quality movement. It's about quality food. It's about quality recovery. It's about quality sleep. But most people can't hear that when I talk to them. So yeah, you're right. It's simple. It's simple, but you can't hear me. You got that?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean. So putting this in, let's just go back to this for a second then. Putting it in the broadest sense possible. Guys, what Dan's saying here is squat, do some type of hinge, which would be a swing or a deadlift, a push or a pull. So that would be your bench press, your overhead press. A pull would be something like a chin up, a bent over row, a TRX row. You guys have access to those things. And a weighted carry, which would be a sled push or carrying some dumbbells for a certain amount of meters. And they're the 5 fundamental things you can have in every workout, and just get really good at those movements to make sure that you can do the full range of motion through those movements and do them correctly. Is that right?
That's how I make my living.
Exactly. And guys, it doesn't really... This is why I wanted to get Dan on, because this guy is a master, and he doesn't... He's not trying to sell you all these different programs and you have to do this and this and this. You just focus on the fundamental things, and they are what is going to get you the best results over time. And we do get lost in all these articles online, and they tell you, you must be doing this for bigger glutes and all these crazy things. But if you're not focusing on those main movements that we do in life, not just in the gym, but all these movements that we practice, we're doing them outside of life too. If you've got to carry some heavy groceries, or if you've got to carry a heavy bucket, that's your loaded carry. If you've got to bend over to pick something up, that's your hinge. All these movements that Dan talks about carry over into real life. let's say.
Exactly.
And so,
That.
sorry, John,
Go
what were
ahead.
we going to say, Dan?
Oh no, you go ahead. Sorry.
So I was going to say, that's the training side of things. Like, you really just package that up in a nutshell nice, and people can go away with action steps for their training. Now, what is your approach with nutrition? Because I know you like to keep it as simple as possible too, but a lot of people get excited with these different diets. Why don't you tell us the plain, fundamental KISS method for diet and what you like to follow, what you advocate?
Well, we have a simple phrase: eat like an adult. You know, stop eating kids' cereal. Stop eating comfort food. Stop. Well, just eat like an adult. Eat your vegetables, eat your protein, drink your water. I mean, it's that. That is exactly what they told us at the Olympic Training Center in 1991. Eat more protein, eat more vegetables, drink more water. It was that simple. And yet, I can't make a dime on that. I can't make a dime on dime. That's an American phrase. I can't make. What do you guys got down there? What do you
Let's
guys
just
use?
say you can't make $1 on that.
You can't make $1 on that. You can't. You can't make $1 on telling people to sleep more. You just can't do it. You gotta somehow, BS your way into some magical thing. And the truth is, there is no truth. That's a thing. It's a story I tell a lot of people. There's this village somewhere where the men run everything. Okay, and the reason the men run everything is because there's a village secret that only men are allowed to know. And when a boy turns 14, they beat the holy hell out of him. They keep him in the forest for a couple days with no food. They lock him down. They make him freeze to death. And at the end of this ordeal, they sit him down and they look him in the eye and say, "There is no secret." And I hope you laugh at that sometime. But there is no secret. And anytime I try to sell you the secret, I'm just lying to you. And the truth is, it's eat like an adult. Yeah, fasting is great. Every religion in the world tells you to fast. There's a big difference between fasting and being hungry. There's a big difference between being hungry and starving. For most of us, it is that simple. Protein, veggies, water. Make that the focal point. We do this little thing, and I do this, where I try to eat 8 different vegetables a day. That's just a little goal I have. I didn't say 8 servings. I said 8 different kinds. So I made, the other day I made chicken noodle soup. Well, as I was making the chicken noodle soup, I just kept grabbing other vegetables and just throwing them into the pot. And it's funny because when I go to this little local restaurant I have brunch at every day, I order don't take this. I order the vegetarian omelet and a Greek salad. Well, that gets me to 13 vegetables a day, right there.
Whoa.
One meal. Yeah, because of the mix of foods that they have there. So now, I didn't say servings. I said different kinds. I've been trying to do this thing where you drink a gallon of water a day. I've been doing that. Oh, gosh. I don't know. It'd have to be. Certainly it was in the 90s. I could even argue it was in the 80s. And it's just not that big a deal. But once you get addicted to these really simple things, there's a cliche called the big rocks. Once you take care of the big rocks, everything else is pretty simple. A buddy of mine, Marcus, just came out with a book called The Healthy Habits Pyramid. And he's got this interesting thing at the very top. He includes supplement, but the whole supplement chapter is an apology for talking about supplements. But he had to for this book because that's where people focus. They want to focus on nitric oxide, B15, bee pollen, desiccated liver, vitamin this, vitamin that. And the truth is, if you take care of it in your meals, you probably never need supplements. So that's kind of where I've been. That would be it for me. So eat like an adult, and that would mean more protein, more veggies, more water.
And they told that to you said they told that to you in the Olympics, right?
At the Olympic Training Center, yeah.
At the Olympic Training Center, that is what they told these top athletes, guys. So if he's getting told that then, why would you not apply that now? So Very, very simple. Eat more vegetables. He didn't say a lot of servings. He said try different types of vegetables. And you can even go to the grocery store and think about, okay, what haven't I tried before? Or, what's one thing I could try this week? Maybe last time I tried green cabbage. This time I could try purple cabbage. Something like that. And then make sure you're eating, like you said, drink enough water. And everyone knows they need to drink more water at the end of the day. You can never really have too much. And making sure you get enough protein. So it's very, very simple. And there's no, there's, like he said, he can't sell you the secret, but it's just about keeping it simple and actually putting that into your life. It's simple, but doesn't mean that you're going to do it. So just pick one thing you can do from each of those. So is it to drink more water, or is it to have more protein first? And then the same type of thing is training. Okay, well, we've talked about the squat, we've talked about the deadlift, we've talked about all those 5 exercises, but why don't you just pick one thing to get good at first that you can practice on 3 or 4 days a week? It might be practicing the goblet squat, or it might be practicing your deadlifts, just to, not heavy, not super heavy, just focusing on the technique to get better at it.
Exactly. And I make my living on that. That's what I do. And the thing is, it's hard, but again, got to get back to that steno. Most people can't hear me when I make those very, very simple points like that. They expect it to be much sexier. They expect me to talk about some kind of junk I just made up. I got to throw the word turbo in there somehow, and I got to throw a number in there. That's all nonsense. But the stuff I do works. But it's just hard to convince people about it because it's so. And it's been proved. It's been the truth for 70 or 80 years. Everything I tell you, but it's just not very. That's just not very sexy. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's exactly why I love reading your stuff, John. Dan, I actually brought you on because you do keep it so simple. And when I've gone through your books and when I've followed your course that you've got online, and it just comes back to, even though I being a trainer, I still get caught in those. Those articles and the next best thing, but you're kind of like that grounding to bring it back and just say, look, focus on the basics, it works. And that's why I just wanted people to be able to understand why I look up to you and why you're such a big influence on so many people. Is because you just say, keep it simple, focus on what works, and that's it. You don't need a lot of other things. People can really, guys, even though I'm a trainer, a lot of you don't need trainings or new programs every couple of months. If you focus on increasing the amount of weight or increasing the amount of repetitions or getting better at a movement, that's all you need, those fundamental exercises like we talked about, and you can really go from there for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's basically what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, John, I really appreciate you coming on today and just sharing, people are going to go, well, that was pretty, simple and taken care of, and that was pretty, there wasn't much in there, but if you guys actually go back and listen to this again and you just go, oh, I'm actually not eating enough vegetables, or I'm not doing those fundamental movements, you can get a huge takeaway and a really big result from these things. So, Dan, I do really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your knowledge.
Absolutely.
Now, where can people, if they want to, if people want to learn more about you, where can they find your books? Where can they find out more about you and learn about what you do, Dan?
Well, the best thing to do is danjohn.net. danjohn.net. I have a weekly blog that comes out, and then every Wednesday have the people subscribe to my newsletter, which is called Wandering Weights. It's not really a newsletter. I just go around the net and find articles I find interesting. It's very popular. I cannot believe the number of people who read that thing. And my blog is just go on my blog. There's literally hundreds of blog entries, and then while you're in there, go to this thing called GetUp. If you decide to print them all off, it's 2,000 pages, and it's just this newsletter I have. And then, gosh, you could probably just live on there for a while. And then if you're going to buy my books, I would suggest, of course, you're in another country, I don't know, but I would suggest going through OTP. But I understand how hard it is to get books. So if you go through Amazon, I understand that too, okay?
Well, I've gotten all my books through OTP, guys. I'm going to link all this stuff up in the show notes, but you can get all of Dan's stuff, then I really recommend that you pick up his books because I've got them all and I absolutely love them. And they're books you can go over again and again and again because, like I said, they're so simple, but each time you go through it, you will pick up something new from that simple advice.
Right. Okay, listen, I've got to roll. I've got phone calls coming in from my wife. I just thought this was really nice. We were able to work it out that quickly.
No worries. I really appreciate you coming on, Dan, and hopefully we can catch up again in the future.
Fantastic. Talk soon, okay?
Have a great day. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Before you go, can you please do me a massive favor and share this podcast with one friend or family member who you think would benefit from listening? All you have to do is open up your podcast app, click on those 3 dots next to the episode and click on Share Episode. Then you can text or email it to that friend or family member and tell them to check it out. Also, if you guys want to connect with me, I am on all social media platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to find me, it's at TysonBPT. TysonBPT. Also, if you guys like the podcast, please go to iTunes and leave me a rating. This helps me get up the rankings and it also helps other people find me so I can help them improve their health and fitness. Once again, thanks for listening and I'll see you on the next episode.